our discussion today in class really helped cement that connection between the importance of parent involvement and that breaking of the school to prison pipeline. Um, the only thing is, thinking kind of practically, I don't know how much of that is really going to be applicable to the school I'll be teaching in, but it's still really important to know. And it got me thinking, our discussion about how to be in, like, develop relationships with students, and yesterday in our discussion today about how to develop relationships with parents and families in the community, I think it really inspired me a lot to think about what I can ask parents, and how I can get them involved in their students' education, even at that higher level. And maybe it is more along the lines of um, just some kind of support with what I'm trying to do, but it's tricky. It's tricky at the high school level because it's that thing where, like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And so I think if families value that involvement, those are the families that you're really going to really have involved. And I like the ideas of sending out surveys to see what the family or the parents or whoever, the caregivers of the child, the student, finding out what they want from you as a teacher and what their expectations are of you. And I talked about this in a video, in one of my video responses a few days ago, where I said I want to create a classroom community where my students have a say in the norms and the expectations of themselves, of their peers, and of me as their teacher. And I think that is a conversation I can also have with parents as well, to ask them what are their expectations, what do they expect of me as a teacher, and then what do they expect of themselves as parents and family members of my students, so that at least we're all on the same page. I think we're quick to either assume that if parents aren't involved, they don't care, or they're too busy. But I think there's a point where parents don't quite know how to be involved, and that's something I know I'm going to ask about in August during our prep week, is how are parents involved at the school I'll be teaching at, because if there's not something already in place, maybe that's something the department or maybe the wider school community can look at starting. I know there's a lot of community involvement with members of community attending performances and games and things that they don't have kids involved in, but they still go, which I think is really, really cool. And it sounds like, from what I've started to find out about the school, it seems like a really good community, and the community values the school, and the school values the community that it is in. So it's interesting, though, because it's in a much newer community, out on kind of the edge of Arapahoe County, where it's newer developments and kind of, it's not an established, like a super established neighborhood yet. Things keep being built around there, so we'll see. But I thought those connections that we made today in class about the parents in the documentary that we finished watching yesterday, how they wanted to be involved, they just didn't know how. So maybe that's something that needs to be articulated a little bit more and kind of equilibrate everybody involved. The school community, the families, the parents, the students, the teachers, everybody. It just seems to me like it's kind of like this game of telephone, if you will, where no one, like, the message gets lost along the way. But it did cause me to start thinking about what what I will do. Um, and so that's an important thing for me to keep in mind is what am I going to do to keep the parents of my students and the families of my students who are ending their public education experience, what we can do to help students out.